Okay. Got to keep the management on their toes.
Yep.
All right. Our next evaluator will be Joel, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you'll be evaluating Mr. Marcel.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Could it be possible that you are dehydrated? I often find myself dehydrated. The goal of this speech was for the speaker to present a talk that is organized in a manner that leads the audience to a clearly defined goal. It's all about organizing your speech. There are some criteria to look at: the speech value, the preparation, the organization, the opening, the body, the conclusion, and transitions. Those are the basics of an entire speech. I don't necessarily like the order they put it in here because it starts off with preparation and then goes into stuff that maybe goes farther on into the speech and then to the speech itself. But I want to focus on a couple of key points here, Marcel. So you had a little bit of an edgy start in that when you first came up, you did draw us in with humor because you were talking about the color of your shirt, Bob not here, and stuff like that. That did generate some laughter. However, it actually detracted from your speech because your speech was about water. And here we are going over here into this little bit of humorous land. The way that can be a detriment, whether it's here in a club setting or maybe even more importantly, if you're in a contest, is the second you started talking, the clock started going. So you've got roughly 7.5 minutes to give a speech. Everything you say, once you start talking, that clock starts going. You did then go into a great, not quite question, more of a statement about how much water the human body has. And then when you went into your speech, it was about health. And I'm sure all of us, especially people like me who are now in their middle ages, are really thinking more and more about our health. So it was definitely a topic that we all should be interested in. And I've talked with you before about water and your fervor over water. You told us you were going to be telling us stories to prove your point, and you were. They were actually really good stories. There were two things about your stories that I want to talk to you about. The first one is a bit of a precaution, or sort of a cautionary tale, because you were speaking about somebody else, somebody very specific who we are not to mention. So if you don't want anybody to mention it, it's always better to not mention it yourself. I have found that to be the case before. So often, just make up a person or don't mention them at all. Just say you were with this person and this was the situation. You had 2 or 3 good stories, but they were all sort of insulated. They were all sort of by themselves. So each story was good, but there was no transition to take you from one story to the next. And in fact, I almost felt your stories were almost reversed in order of time. Like maybe you should have started with the doctor first, and then gone into something else, and then talked about the most recent incident where you were able to convince some anonymous person the benefits of the water. In summary then, you had a great concept, you had very good stories, you limited your facts so that way there wasn't jargon. You let us know there are facts, you're not an expert, that's okay. You ran out of time, partially at the beginning, partially in the middle when you started talking about The Hague. And so then when you ended, you didn't quite have a good summary because you had to cut yourself short. It might have been a good opportunity to then try and take these couple things you did tell us about and frame a conclusion based off of that. So the one thing though, I think that would really help going forward then is manage that time a little bit better and find a way to connect all these pieces of your speech so that way it all flows and it looks like one speech instead of say 3 or 4 or 5 little vignettes. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel.